Welcome to Ekoi Beyond, the show that journeys into the heart of darkness and wonder, where Asian folklore and chilling tales come alive. Each month, we cross borders from the haunted deserts of Mexico and the jungles of South America to the mist-shrouded villages of Asia, uncovering legendary spirits, haunted legends, and forbidden mysteries. Light a candle, gather close, and prepare for stories that have haunted generations. These are the whispers in the night and the tales they dare not to tell. I'm your host, Kimberly, and I'm joined by my good friends Brenda Herena and Tian Trin.
Hello.
Hello.
So, Brenda, you have a very interesting introduction to the first podcast. So, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you. So, welcome everyone to our first podcast recording of Ekoi Beyond. So, some of you might be wondering about the name and what it means. Ekoi is the ancient Greek word for echoes, where the word originated. We found it to be fitting for the theme of our podcast, as we will be discussing folklore stories, which are often intertwined with mythical stories. The word translates to sound, which originated from Greek mythology. There are multiple mythical stories that explain the origin of this word, but all variations include a nymph named Echo, who was sent by Zeus to distract his wife Hera. When Queen Hera noticed the deceiving plot, she became angry and she cursed the nymph to repeat the words spoken to her. Some say the queen had Echo's body disappeared, leaving behind the sound of her voice echoing through the mountains. What do you guys think about that?
Very deep introduction to our name.
Yeah, very meaningful, I think.
I didn't know about that.
So, what did you both do this weekend? It was Halloween on Friday.
Yeah.
I stayed in and I watched Welcome to Derry, which is interesting. It's like a combination of Stranger Things, but in the Stephen King world. But it was good. I recommend you guys watch it if you have time.
Wait, what was it was a show or a movie?
It's a show. Yeah, it's called Welcome to Derry.
Welcome to
Oh.
Based on the book It, of course. So they've
Okay.
like really expanded on the Stephen King world there. So it's very good. There's only 2 episodes so far, so you're not missing much.
Oh, is it on Netflix or
HBO. But if you have
Oh,
Prime,
okay.
you can watch it.
Okay, I'll try to check it out. I don't know if I have HBO, but
Mhm.
if you say it's worth it, maybe I'll get it and then just watch it and then cancel it.
Yes, that's the way to go.
How about you, Brenda?
Yeah, I went trick-or-treating with my son and one of his friends and one of the moms. Yeah, we went in the neighborhood, and the next day I participating in a mom's gathering to take out our rage on pumpkins, which then later get composted. So, yeah.
Oh,
Well, that worked out.
like a fun day.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
Sounds like a free therapy session.
Yeah.
Right.
Where did you go for this?
That was local here in the community. So it's
Okay.
something set up by one of the moms in the district.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those rage rooms that people go to? Or they like go in the
No.
street?
It's just in
Oh.
her at her house. She set up
Oh.
an area in the front of her house in the driveway with a tarp, and all the pumpkins that were being recycled were set up, and we had different weapons of choice too.
Yeah, that sounds fun though.
Yeah, actually it was fun.
Well, your weekend sounds more interesting than mine. Oh, my goodness.
What did
All
you
I
do?
did was clean.
You didn't dress up the dogs.
Doggies.
No, I dressed them up last weekend because I do trick-or-treating here the weekend before Halloween. So that's when they were dressed up. And Benny was a cow, and Stella was like a hocus pocus costume she had.
That's cute.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this weekend I just stayed and I cleaned. We did go to the forest preserve to walk for a little bit, and I got some fun for the Day of the Dead. So that was my excitement, my sweet bread.
Oh yeah.
Still sounds like a fun time. I'm sure Omar loved it.
Fun time.
Yeah.
Eating my bread.
Bread and staying in. That's what I did too. We stayed in and watched a movie and ate chocolate mousse. That was it.
Chocolate mousse?
Yeah.
Did Josh make it for you?
Yes, he did. He made it for me.
Oh. Right. So, Brenda, you have a interesting story to share with us for our first episode. So, I'll pass it on to you.
Yes. Today I will be sharing with you some background on Jose Marti. Jose Marti he's from Cuba, and he was a revolutionary poet, considered a spiritual guardian of Cuba. He was born in 1853. From a young age, he felt a strong calling to stand up for Cuba and its independence. He published his first political article in 1869 in a local newspaper while Cuba was at war with Spain, fighting for their independence. Folklore stories say that Marty appears during moments of national crisis, like you'll see his silhouette near the Havana's Plaza de la Revolucion. There's ghost stories that often surface during times of crisis, such as hurricanes, elections, or protests, moments where Cuba's soul is really feeling tested. He's very well known for the fight and the passion that he put into Cuba. Actually, I have a short excerpt from his poetry that it still remains relevant today. So I have it in Spanish as it was written, and I also have the translated version in English. So I'm gonna go ahead and read it. My Spanish is a little rusty, so forgive me. Oculto en mi pecho bravo la pena que me lo hiere. El hijo de un pueblo esclavo vive por él, calla y muere. Todo es hermoso y constante, todo es música y razón, y todo como el diamante antes que luz es carbón. In English, that translates to, my heart holds anguish and pains from a wound which festers and cries, the son of a people in chains. Lives for them, hushes and dies. All is lovely and right, all is reasoning and song. Before the diamond is bright, its night of carbon is long.
I think it's so beautiful. At least the English version, I don't understand Spanish, but the part where he says, like, my heart holds anguish and pains from the wound that festers, I feel like you can really feel his passion there in that first part.
Right, yeah.
And you know
That's
what I thought? Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was gonna say that's why I chose this one, because I think when I read it, it takes you to that feeling. It translates through his writing. You can sense it, you can feel it.
Yeah, I wanted to point something out that I find interesting, that in Mexico, when there are moments of crisis like floods or war or plague, I feel like La Llorona comes up a lot in moments like that. And I just find it so interesting that in Cuba, there's something like that as well. Like the ghost stories of Jose Marti come up whenever there's moments like that.
Yeah, you're right. It's and I recall hearing them growing up about like Llorona, and it would be more of, well, people are not behaving, this is the result. These are the consequences, the punishment that you get. You're summoning the spirit that's upset because of your actions.
Yeah, it's interesting. Tian, do you have anything like that similar in Vietnam, or anything that you would know, maybe in the Philippines, since Josh is from the Philippines?
Not that I'm aware of.
No scary ghost stories
They have
that come up?
scary ghost stories. Like, I know Josh always talks about, like, this thing is called like a song or something. But it's like a kid's folklore, like a vampire looking thing that if you leave your room at night, go into the dark, the swan is gonna get you. But really, it's just because the parents didn't want you to leave at night.
Oh.
So it's nothing like these.
Yeah.
Something I think I'm gonna look into if there's anything like that in other countries as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. I just don't know them.
How dare you not know, Tian?
Rude.
So let me tell you a little bit more about Jose before we move on. So Jose Marti's passion led him to travel all over Latin America and United States. He went to Spain, in India. He traveled not only to share his opinions, he wanted other people to understand their own history, and he shared his history and educate others and to help them improve their own countries. And as a result, now you can find monuments honoring his memory in West New York, Tampa, Florida, and even in India and Rome. So I think that's a testament to his legacy. He followed his passion, and it led him to many journeys and left many powerful memories that are imprinted in the Cuban culture and history in various parts of the world.
How many
Awesome.
languages?
Yeah, I would have to get back to you on that. I'm not sure, but I know that he did enjoy translating in different languages. So that was part of his work.
And I know you were trying to say something. I'm sorry.
Me? Oh, no. It wasn't important. I was just going to say, like, you mentioned that honoring memories can be found in places like even like Rome, which I'm going to later this year. So I'm excited to see like how that's being translated in other countries, hopefully.
Yeah, try to find him. Find him and share a picture.
We'll report back.
Share a picture with us on our social media page.
It will be in the podcast description.
The picture?
No, our social media.
Oh, yes, it'll be. Okay. So, Brenda, thank you for sharing this. I'll pass it over now to Tia. She has another interesting story, which is actually from my home country, Mexico.
So this next one is called The General's Last Ride, and it is about a man named Pancho Villa. And please let me know if I'm mispronouncing any word, Tim, because I do not speak Spanish.
Me? There's a Brenda here too.
Both of you. Okay. And so Pancho Villa, he is a revolutionary general, bandit, folk hero, and in northern Mexico, he rides again, at least in legend. His birth name was Doroteo Arango. He was born in 1878 on the Ranch de la Coyotora, owned by the Lopez Negrete family. And after his father died, he became the head of his family. He worked as a sharecropper, and when he was 16, he came home from work one day. He found his mother and the ranch owner arguing, and apparently what was happening is that the ranch owner, he wanted Arango's 15-year-old sister, which I think is, I know is very common for the time, but in this day and age, that is just unacceptable. And so Doroteo, he became angry and he shot the ranch owner in the foot, and that's when he fled to the mountains and he became an outlaw. And because police were after him, he had to change his name. He chose Pancho Villa, which I believe is also partially after his grandfather. So after he became an outlaw, he became a thief. He robbed wealthy miners and others. He returned money to the poor, and he was known by some as the Robin Hood in Mexico. But the American press, they often portray him as a villain of war at the Mexican border. But other stories, they also showed a much darker side to him, and they also said that he would kill anyone who betrayed him. So for example, there is one story about how he was chasing a man his sister had eloped with and forced him to dig his own grave. Leah shot him and tossed his body into the grave. Whereas other stories tell how he broke into the house of a wealthy man, and after the man refused to give him any money, his gang tortured him, cutting off parts of his feet and then stabbing him to death, which is to me absolutely terrifying. So I feel like he had like a duality to him. He was the Robin Hood, but also very ruthless as well. And then in 1910, that's when the Mexican Revolution began. At this time, he was 32 years old, and he became the first commander, and he led a force of 28 men. And he was quickly seen as a guerrilla fighter, and shortly into the war, he would become one of the most important military leaders of the Mexican Revolution. And his contingent soon numbered nearly 500 as his men won continual battles, and the Battle of Torreon was what made him a national leader. And then at the end of the war, after his army dwindled, he negotiated an amnesty with the Mexican government, and he retired from his military pursuit in 1920, only to be assassinated in an ambush 3 years later in 1923 when he was on his way back home.
Oh, he did a lot.
He did.
At a very young age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
32, and I'm 31 now. And still
Well,
not
you have
doing
one more year
anything.
before you can start a revolution or something.
You know what? I kept thinking I was turning 32 for some reason. I don't know why. I was just putting more years on me. But that sucks though, that like you retire and then you get killed.
I mean, he had so
Basically
many
what happens
enemies.
now.
Yeah.
What?
If we get a chance to retire by the time we're
You wanna
60,
get killed?
67.
Whoa. I don't think you're going to die at 70.
Yeah.
Jeez, Brenda. It's so negative. All right, I guess we can move on to the scary part of this story.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the dusty hills of Chihuahua, long after the revolution had quieted, locals whispered of a midnight rider. He galloped through the Sierra Madre on a jet black horse. His eyes glowed like embers. His voice echoed like gunfires. And many say it was Pancho Villa, or at least what was left of him. Which, okay, it's interesting because we know we have the headless. What is it called? Headless horsemen?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's just like a thing that passes on to each country. Do you have something like that in Asia? In Vietnam specifically?
Girl, I don't know. I need to look up more folklore over there. We at least we're growing up, like, I was never told scary folklores. It was always like,
You're so into scary stuff. How does
I
that make sense?
know, but my parents never told me any scary ones.
They didn't bother to look at
Maybe
it.
she was
No.
well behaved because the
Maybe
stories
she
they told
was.
us were so we would behave.
Very probably. But I'm pretty sure Pancho Villa's over there too.
Yeah.
With his headless horse. Well, him being headless, not his horse.
Hmm.
Anyway, let me continue. After his assassination in 1923, Villa was buried in Parral, but his head was stolen and never recovered. Some say this desecration cursed his soul to wander searching for missing pieces of himself. On one stormy night, a young soldier named Mateo was stationed near Villa's former hideout. He heard hoofbeats. No horse, then a voice. Muchacho, ¿dónde está mi cabeza?
That's
Mateo, why?
What does that mean in English?
Oh, young boy,
Young
where's my head?
Is that really what muchacho means? Like,
young man or young boy, yeah.
Yeah, young man, young boy, yeah. No,
Mhm.
where's my
okay.
head?
Mhm.
Mateo turned. There stood the ghost. Dusty charro garb, bullet belts across his chest, but his face was a shadow, hollow and headless. Mateo fled, but the ghost followed him, whispering names of traitors and lost battles and demanding justice. They say Mateo never spoke again after this, which, I mean, if it's true, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, it sounds traumatized.
I want to be chased by some headless person. And every year on the anniversary of Villa's death, the ghost returns, riding through the desert.
That story doesn't just haunt the hills, it haunts history and even us.
It does. I'm haunted and
Yeah,
scared.
I'm haunted, is that what you said?
Okay, well,
I like that one.
it's interesting. I mean, I feel like Pancho Villa is just something every Mexican knows about, but I've never really heard about this story or any of any of the other scary stories. I'm sure there's a lot more out there, but it was interesting to see that like he's apparently still around and haunting people. Yes, well, I'll pass it on to Tian again for the last story of tonight, and one that's from her home country that she doesn't look up folklores or scary stories about.
Oh, I will after this, okay. But this next segment is called The Lantern of Nguyen Trai. And this one I don't think is as scary as the one we just heard, but similar to the last two that we heard, Nguyen Trai, he was a poet, he was a strategist, and an architect of independence from Ming China. And his legacy is both revered and haunted. And his writing, like Marti's, it still stirs resistance. They're taught in schools, recited in protests, although I do know that when he was executed, a lot of his writings were destroyed. So Nguyen Trai, he is considered a cultural and one of the 14 national heroes in Vietnam and a very distinguished thinker in the 15th century. He was famous for his thoughts on national independence, military strategy, and politics, as well as on humanism and justice. He was born in 1380. His father was a Confucian intellect. His mother was the daughter of a nobleman, and he was the oldest of 5 siblings. After his mother and his grandfather passed away, his father trained them all in Confucianism, which I think is where a lot of his independent thinking came from. And then in 1400, he garnered a doctor title. Shortly after, he was appointed to the service of provincial administration as deputy head administrator. But then in 1407, the Ho dynasty collapsed, and that's when he joined what's called the Lamsung insurgents in 1416 or 1420. And during his time in the army, he devised strategies and he wrote letters. He was one of the key players and wrote propaganda that inspired people to back the uprising, to drive the Ming armies out of Vietnam and liberate the nation from the Ming rule, which means ending the fourth Chinese domination of Vietnam. But this is where the story gets interesting, and he died in a very controversial scandal. In 1442, the young king Le Tai Tong, he traveled and passed by his place to visit pagoda, and one of Nguyen Trai's wives or concubines named Nguyen Thị Lo, she followed the king, and it was believed by many that she was having an affair with the young king. And then after this, the king became mysteriously ill and he died on his way back to the palace. Nguyen Thị Lo, she was arrested, and the nobles at the courts who hated Nguyen Trai, they blamed her and him for killing the king, and both were sentenced to death as for regicide as well as their extended family. So some believe that he had poisoned the king in a bout of rage, and then others say that the king died in a heart attack in a vigorous bout of lovemaking with Nguyen Thị Lo. But regardless, they are both executed, and there's actually a very interesting folklore. And it was said that at the execution of Nguyen Trai, no person was seen in her cage, so there wasn't a body there. But instead, they found a long white snake that escaped and went down a well nearby. So some people believe that he used his superb horoscope talent to teach her how to turn into a snake. But that's according to legend. The good news is, 22 years later, he was pardoned and he was given the posthumous noble title of Count of Spectral. And actually, he was pardoned by the king's own son, who believed that he was completely innocent of his father's death.
Wow. I have two questions actually.
Mm-hmm.
Why were his writings destroyed when he died? And the other one is, why was he giving the novel title?
I believe a lot of his writing was destroyed because he was part of the insurgent, and also he might have to do more research into it, but I believe it was also because, well, they executed him, they executed his family, they didn't want anything of his kind of out there anymore. But I would have to go back and double check on that, but I do remember reading that a lot of his writing was destroyed. And the second question, you said he was the title, I don't know. Maybe it was to make up for, for what they did, because they did kill him and his family. I feel like a title is it's the least they could do.
That's true. Was there like evidence that he didn't kill the king or something? The son didn't believe that he actually did it?
So I tried looking more into that, like how did the son determine that he was innocent, and I couldn't find too much, or at least in like the websites that we have right now, I couldn't find too much on it, but I'm sure in Vietnam they're taught more about it, because I believe they're taught his writing in school as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Should I move on to the next thing, or does
Yeah, go
anyone
ahead.
else want? Okay. So yeah, after his wrongful execution, folklore says that his ghost wandered the imperial court, whispering truth no one dared to speak. And in modern Vietnam, his ghost is invoked during moments of political reckoning, a reminder that betrayal of justice leaves a spiritual debt. Folklore becomes a reckoning, a call to remember those who died for truth and those who still fight for it.
Well, that's an interesting story. So wait, so can we go back to what you said, that his writing is taught in schools? Why? I don't know how else to ask this, but why?
I know, Kim, I don't know how to answer you because I don't know either.
I have so many questions for you. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Brenda, I'll let you do the talking now, because obviously I have a lot of questions that Tian can't answer right now.
I need to look more into it.
Well, I think that brings us to a closing for our first recording. For our listeners, if you've heard of any revolutionary stories, spirits in your community, please share them with us. We're collecting legends, so please share them with us. You can post them on our social media page or comment to this podcast, and we'll love to research them.
Until then, remember, keep listening.